Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Scorius. So now, this video I'm doing right now is very last minute. As you can tell, I'm not even at home. I'm away at the moment, hence it was very awkward to get set up right for this video, but I decided I needed to do it anyway because it's New Year's and I just wanted to get one more video out. As you can tell by the title, it's Metroid related, which I haven't been able to talk about in so long. And so now this is my opportunity to finally talk about it at last. And what better way to kick off 2020, eh? So, what's new in the world of Metroid? Um, there's been some stuff that came out yesterday. Apparently, Retro Studios have done new job listings, which we've seen a lot of lately, especially around lead art director and creative art director and all this sort of stuff. But this one is interesting because it said that Retro was outsourcing some of the environment work on Metroid Prime 4. Now, what that means is that their hands are completely full with the game, and so they've had to entrust the game to some outside people to help them speed up development. I imagine Nintendo was cracking down on them, saying that they needed to get the game out as soon as possible. But there's a reason this is important, is because even though it's part of the game's development is in outside hands now, one of the listings said that all outsourced work was reviewed by Retro to make sure it's up to the standards of the vision of the game. Now this is the outsourcing, by the way, was environment work and making sure the level design matches the artwork and the vision they have in mind. Why is this important? Because that means Metroid Prime 4's development has been sped up greatly. That means they're really into it now, and I imagine Nintendo probably had a huge hand in that. They probably demanded that they got the game out as soon as possible. And what does that mean for Metroid Prime 4? It's great news because it means the game is coming a lot sooner. In like a lot sooner. See, originally I was thinking 2022, early 23 at the most, because I was like, almost exactly a year ago, Retro took the game, and then up until so January 2019 to January 2020 is a year, then to January of 21, and then January 22. That's 3 years. So 2023 would be plenty of time, even 2022. But this means the game could be very much nearly complete, or at least a great chunk of it's complete. So that means it could be coming out 2021. It is highly likely. And I've seen some people, I don't really agree with it, but a lot of people are saying possibly 2020 this year. People are saying that it's the game could, some people said a few months. I don't believe that. If it's coming this year, it's going to be late this year. But that's incredible. Literally, like the day before yesterday, Metroid was so far off. Like, to me, we've gone so long without Metroid news, without Metroid Prime 4, that it's gotten to the point with me now that I've kind of lost hype. I wouldn't say I've lost interest, but I'm not hyped about the game like before. Like, I wanted everything about this game like right now. Like, I was really in the rush for it, but so much time has passed. It's been 2 years. It kind of doesn't affect me now. Affect me, even though I know the game's coming a lot sooner now, at least a year or two sooner. I'm still kind of, I'm not as hyped up as I should be. Probably because of all the delays and stuff, but don't worry, I'm pretty sure once we get a trailer or something concrete, or if Nintendo does another update video this month, I'll get really amped and hyped up. If Nintendo come out and say, yeah, we're going to have news for you in the next few months, stay tuned, game's coming early to mid 2021, I'll be hyped, I'll be jumping through the roof. But until we see something, my interest, my hype is kind of down. It's all kind of died out for me. My patience is gone. I've kind of feel like I'm starting to move on because I was kind of losing hope of seeing the game. I've been a Metroid fan since 2013, so I've been waiting since then for this game. Other people have been waiting 10 years, so obviously other people have more hype, but still, enough time has passed for me that I'm like, I'm losing interest unless something concrete is given to us. And this is it. Um, I don't know what to say. It feels surreal. I almost don't think it's real because it was speculated to be Metroid because it said it was a Switch game and it gave all the specifics that matched Metroid. But again, it's all speculation. There is the possibility this could be some other game, but we don't really know. As always, we never know anything about this game. And people are starting to say now that Metroid Prime 4 could be at E3 2020. And see, I I was fairly sure it would be at E3 2018. It wasn't. I was certain it would be at E3 2019 until we found out that the game wasn't going to be finished, that it was being restarted. And so now I'm like, yeah, the game is so far off that I don't think we're going to see Metroid at 2019. Uh, E3 2020 or even like Metroid Prime Trilogy. I've kind of lost all hope of ever seeing that. Maybe a new Metroid game like Metroid Dread or something, but it's unlikely. So Metroid at E3 isn't even on my mind. I'm like, I'd love to see it. It'd be the best thing ever, but I've been disappointed so many times now that I'm just kind of accepting it at this point. But that's funny because it's an example. Every time I expect to see like Metroid or even another game like Breath of the Wild or Bayonetta, it's never there. But when I don't expect to see it or I don't want to see it, that's when it will actually be there. So who knows? Maybe because I'm not expecting it at E3 this year, it's going to be there this year. But it is a possibility. I'm fairly confident the game's not coming this year. I will cry if it is, but I'm fairly sure 2021 at the earliest, which is, it could be 2022, but now it's looking like mid 2021. And I can't believe that it's so weird. It seems like the development has just gone suddenly so far ahead. But that's because people are saying technically Retro have already been developing the game since for 2 years. That they had it in 2018. And I remember, like, Nintendo did say in September 2018 the game development was going well. But that was at the time that supposedly Retro pitched the idea for Metroid Prime 4. And then in January, Nintendo said, well, actually, the game's not going well. We had to restart it. So now I'm wondering if that's true. Retro Studios got a hold of Metroid Prime 4 around September, maybe mid to end of September. They already had work on their pitch, so they probably worked off of that and reused a lot of the assets and whatever. So that means it's already been in development for a year and 4 months. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 has been in development a year and 4 months, so that that changes everything. That really does, because suddenly, see, I'm having a hard time processing this. This is a huge paradigm shift for me, but that really changes everything on when we thought we were going to expect this game. The game's actually going to make the switch if this is true. Like, I was like, okay, it's probably going to be next gen and going to be ported back onto the Switch as well, like Breath of the Wild. But now we're in a world where Metroid Prime 4 is potentially. I'm saying potentially, I don't want to believe for sure, but as I'm saying these words, I'm starting to get hyped and amped up about it, and I don't want to, because I know I'm going to get disappointed again. I've been disappointed so many times, and I don't want to be disappointed again, especially if some other delay happens. But I can see Nintendo put so much money in. It definitely seems realistic that they've put pressure on Retro to get the game out as soon as possible. And I don't know, what does that mean if that's the case? What could the potential be for Metroid Prime 5 and Metroid Prime 6? I talk about those a lot. I know like Prime 4 is in development. Why am I talking so far ahead? But because I'm I'm fucking 100% sure if we're getting a Prime 4, we're getting a 5 and 6. They're not going to just leave it at 4. Of course they're going to continue it. That's guaranteed unless the game flops hard, which isn't likely. But I don't know if Nintendo will jump right into it considering the development trouble that it had all this long. But at the same time, Nintendo might want to rush to make their money back. So, and Retro might want to hold on to Metroid. So it's interesting to see where it goes because it's kind of poetry in a way when you look at Retro. They were failing horribly in 2001. Then they got Metroid Prime and they made Prime 1, 2, and 3. They shot up, they got really successful. They finished with Metroid, they went on to Donkey Kong, then suddenly after that, they released no games, everything went to hell over there. They haven't released a game in 6, 7 years, and now Metroid's back in their hands. They have a chance to do another 3 games, or at least one. They're doing at least one Metroid game, and that's going to shoot up their sales again. So everything's going to go well for them, which it's really nice to see it. I it just brings a smile to my face knowing how weirdly history repeats itself. But it also brings me to another question about what about the sales of the game? Because that's a debate that's going on, and Metroid games never sell well. However, I am fairly sure Metroid Prime 4 could be one to break the mold. I feel like this feels like the most anticipated Nintendo game of all time. Maybe I'm exaggerating a small bit, but I don't think I am. I feel like that's where we're going. And to me, with that level of hype, Metroid, and I'm sure Nintendo are going to throw everything in their marketing. They want their money back, for God's sake. So that's what's going to happen. But I feel like Metroid Prime 4 could be the one to just really break ground. At the same time, it is at the end of the Switch's life cycle, and Super Metroid was at the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle. That didn't sell well, despite being amazing. So there is the whole life cycle thing to attend to, but people have been waiting a long time for this game. Even people who've never played Metroid, who've sort of jumped on from E3 2017, are waiting for this game. So this game is going to sell a lot. I don't know if it's going to sell as incredibly well as I'm predicting. Maybe not. Maybe it being too unrealistic, but I don't know. I just got this gut feeling that that's what's coming our way. Um, there was something else I was gonna say there that I'm actually just after forgetting in regards to Metroid Prime 4's. Oh yeah, in terms of release, like Nintendo have released pretty much all their big titles at this point. We've gotten a Mario game, we've gotten a Zelda game, um, we've had Kirby, we've had Yoshi, we've had Mario Kart, even though not a new Mario Kart game, but still. We've had Mario Bros. Um, Fire Emblem. We've had so many things. Like, at this point, there's only 3 big titles left for Nintendo to release. Breath of the Wild 2. I don't know when that's coming. I predict 2020, but now as we get closer, I'm beginning to think that might not be true. I'm worried it could be 2021. It's possible, but that would mean the game's in development for 4 years and using the same engine and assets. I don't know if that's necessarily what's true there, but I don't know. Maybe it'll take 7 years like the first game. Bayonetta 3, which is one thing I was annoyed about the Game Awards. Nintendo were supposed to announce something. They didn't. We never got Bayonetta. It's been exactly 2 years and a month now, and we've heard nothing on Bayonetta 3. We heard last, like, March that the game was going well, and that was it. We were supposed to hear about it after Astral Chain came out. No news since, so the development of Bayonetta 3, that's up in the air. Although there's this thing that Platinum were going to talk about one of their IPs later this year, and it was either going to be Babylon or Bayonetta, as everyone's expecting. So I don't know. Is Babylon going to release before Bayonetta, despite being shown after Bayonetta? Probably, because, they're probably going to pull an Astral Chain and release that and focus all on that before Bayonetta, knowing our luck. So yeah, Bayonetta is also up in the air. And finally, Metroid. So if Breath of the Wild is not next year and is 2021, or even if Breath of the Wild is next year, and Bayonetta, it feels like Bayonetta should be next year, but or this year rather, 2020, but there's been no news in the game, so I don't know. Unless it's toward the end of the year, maybe. It's a holiday game, perhaps, which I'm leaning toward. So let's say Bayonetta is a holiday 2020 game, and Breath of the Wild is around the same time, or at least March of 2021. Where does that leave Metroid? Once those games are released, the only ones Nintendo have are Metroid. I'm sure they'll have other games. They'll probably have a brand new Mario game and something else in the works, but and a Mario Kart. But Metroid needs to release within those 2 years. After that, it's too late. They'll have released everything. People will know they've released everything, so people are not going to stick around for Metroid. So Nintendo are in a rush to get this game out, and that's evident now. And it's kind of mind blowing to me all of a sudden how this is the reality now that Metroid is coming. Metroid's definitely coming a lot sooner than 2022. Am I going to stick with a 2021 release? At the earliest, I am thinking Metroid Prime 4 could be. I want to say a summer 2021 release, but I'm praying it is indeed in the next few months, but no, that's definitely not. If it's a summer 2021 released, that means we may not hear about it in the next one or two directs. We're probably going to hear about it in E3. It's a likelihood. It feels weird me saying that because I've gone so long without saying that Metroid was going to be at E3, but that's the case now. So yeah, Metroid's probably going to be at E3. Don't be surprised if it isn't though. Um, I want to say the Game Awards, but Nintendo have kind of shown that the Game Awards don't really mean much to them, or at least because I watched Rule of Two review and he's pointed this out that like Nintendo aren't really taking it seriously because they don't need to. They don't have much competition at the moment because they've regained ground with like Breath of the Wild and Fire Emblem and all their big titles. It's only when other companies like Microsoft and Sony are focusing on the Xbox X and the PlayStation 5 now and the launch titles for that. So they don't really have anything overly major right now. So Nintendo can take it easy. Whereas when they have new titles launched, Nintendo will have to go full on. And that's probably why they want Metroid on hand, ready to go. So yeah, that's probably why they took the Game Awards easy this year. They didn't really have much competition. And people are speculating that they've taken E3 kind of off. Like E3 is no longer this big deal because they now use Nintendo Directs as their big reveals. And I've noticed that. Like, Nintendo Directs have a lot of big titles and stuff. E3, like 2018, like 60% of it was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 2019, we had more Smash Ultimate. I think Mario Maker and Pokemon took up a huge amount as well. Obviously Breath of the Wild at the end. It was mostly third-party games, if I remember. It was nearly entirely third-party games. So, like, E3 is kind of dwindled for Nintendo in terms of big reveals. I don't know if 2020 is going to make up for that and go back to what 2017 was, because that was an incredible year for Nintendo. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping 2020 as a whole for the Nintendo Switch is what 2017 was. That we get Bayonetta, Breath of the Wild, and Metroid all in one year. That would be like out of this world, insane. But obviously Nintendo would have used up all their franchises at that point. So one of those titles, at least one or two of those titles is beyond Metroid and Breath of the Wild. I'm pretty certain Bayonetta has to be next year. I can't really see that going because it's not that big of a game. I mean, it's a big enough game, but it's not that big to require like 3 years of development. But who knows? I don't know anything about game development. On the other hand, I mean, yeah, Nintendo's loads of dormant franchises like F-Zero and Golden Sun and Pikmin. Will they unveil some of those? I mean, no. Pikmin 4 is like the most likely out of those because, at least that game exists in some shape or form, but Nintendo just is silent on it. Same with, well, not same, but, the case of Golden Sun, which I really want a new game of, and the God of War director demanded Nintendo to make a new Golden Sun. But it's been so long that, I it's been 10 years. It's been, well, 12 years at this point. That Metroid Prime 4 is coming after Metroid Prime 3, and yet we have that game announced and it's coming. So at Nintendo, we know that dormant games, a dormant franchise doesn't mean dead, especially with Metroid, as we've seen. So, but then again, Golden Sun is niche, not well known, so who knows? Kid Icarus is also one that can come back. These are all dormant franchises, but games are not like movies. If a movie franchise is dormant for like 7 to 10 years, it's pretty much dead until they reboot it in another like 10 years. Video games, at least with Nintendo anyway, they take their fucking time. Nintendo take 10 years to make sequels, so like I don't really view Nintendo franchises as dead unless we're going back to like GameCube or Super Nintendo era stuff. Then yeah, maybe. Kid Icarus, I don't know. It seems to be big enough lately, so I don't know because it's Smash. So I don't know if Kid Icarus is really dead or just dormant or what Nintendo are planning, or if there's no plans at all, which seems to be the case. Maybe that is. And then on the other hand of that, Golden Sun we've had no word about, so maybe that is dead. Who knows? We can only speculate because there's no word in these franchises, so they probably are dead as opposed to dormant. So that only really leaves Nintendo with Breath of the Wild, maybe the next Mario game, hopefully Mario Galaxy, Mario Kart 9, and then Bayonetta, Breath of the Wild, and Metroid. So Nintendo have run out of options. They've played their cards. The time has come. One of these three games has to be 2020. The other two, 2021. And it's shocking to me that like suddenly all these games are just thrown at us, like especially Metroid. But yeah, I've gone completely off from what I wanted to say. This was supposed to be just really short, giving you all this information, but as I've gone on, the excitement is kind of built in me, which is funny because I said it was dead. And I'm just... I'm having a hard time processing that Metroid is coming out like a year or two sooner. It's not definite. This rumor could be fake, but we'll see. We'll see if the next direct gives us a hint. I'd love if we got another development update this month. Unlikely. They did say it would be a long time, which is why I was like, okay, 2023 for the game would make sense, but I don't know, God. There's just so many things we can say about this game at this point, but who knows? The next time I talk about Metroid Prime 4, I'm either going to have some sort of theory in my head about release or something, or we're going to have something concrete. Hopefully it's soon. I don't want it to be another good few months. I'm hoping it's in the next few months. We'll see. So, finally, with all of that out the way, my last video of the decade, even though it's technically already 2020 here, but whatever. If you watched all the way through this video, I just want to say very quickly, Happy New Year to everyone. Can't believe it's the end of the decade. I hope everything goes well for you. I hope 2019 was a good year for you. For some people it wasn't. For me it was an incredible year, but who knows. And it's been an incredible decade for gaming. There's been so many influences and things to talk about. I might even do a video on that. So we'll see. I've got some ideas floating around. But anyways, let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think? Is Metroid Prime 4 a 2021 game? What other flagship titles could Nintendo throw our way? What's Nintendo's next big game? Will Breath of the Wild be 2020? Will Bayonetta be 2020? Let me know down below. So, one more time, Happy New Year. Thank you all for watching and please subscribe. Nova Score is out.